Hello, let's make a true Roman spaghetti carbonara or pasta carbonara. You can use any pasta you like, really, folks. Let's get into the ingredients. This is going to be for 2 people. So we need some pancetta. The most important thing about pancetta is the fat, okay? We need that fat. That's the big part of this recipe. You're going to use about 3/4 of a cup diced. Sometimes you buy it this way. Sometimes you can already buy it chopped, depending on where you shop. Locally here, Superstore has this. Some Sobe stores has this. Sometimes you have to get them to slice it for you. Moving on to the eggs, we have 1 whole large egg and 2 yolks from large eggs. Okay, so 1 full egg, 2 egg yolks. You need some Parmesan, Parmigiano Reggiano, and Pecorino Romano. Those 2 cheeses are a must. Pecorino is saltier, that's why we blend it with Parmesan, okay? So for the Pecorino, we need about 1/2 cup, finely grated, okay? And for the Parm, we need 3/4 of a cup, and I just mix them together here. Black pepper as required, salt as required, and we need a really good pasta. Buy a pasta that is going to be, that's not shiny. Okay, it can be one of this type here. This is a tagliatelle, and then we have here a spaghetti. So it's a nice, big, thick spaghetti. And you can see here it's not shiny. It's kind of etched, right? If you can make that out or not, but that's important, okay? That means it's gone through a bronze dye. It is a quality pasta. And when you cook this stuff, it just helps, see if I can get back in focus there. It just helps the sauce cling to the pasta. So I do have a large pan for this recipe. I also have a large pot of water, about halfway, 3/4 way filled with a few teaspoons of salt. We're going to bring it up to a boil. This pan here, we're going to turn on medium heat, and we're going to get our pancetta in here. You can use guanciale as well, the same amount if you can find guanciale, which is the pig cheek. That is more traditional, but a lot of Romans use the pancetta as well. So we want to get this rendered down so it's crispy and all the fat is rendered out. I'm going to stir this every once in a while just so it cooks evenly, and do not burn this. So for our pasta, we're going to use about, you can use between 250 and 300 grams total. Okay. And let's get into we're going to make our carbonara cream right now. So you're going to need a whisk or a fork. I think I'll just use a fork. First thing we want to do is we want to beat these eggs up really, really well, okay? Get them very, very liquefied. I'm going to do this for about a minute. Okay, about a minute in now, I can see that this is very fluid. And all that means is that we're not going to get any clumps when we throw this in with the pasta and the pancetta fat. Now let's add in all of our cheese. And let's give that a good stir. Get this incorporated really, really well. I'm going to add a pinch of black pepper. And freshly ground if you have it. Just keep stirring this around, folks. Just want to get all that cheese incorporated into the egg and egg yolks here. Okay, that's what it should look like. That's what we want. That's the consistency. Back to our pancetta here. Just sauteing it on medium heat and getting all the fat rendered out. I'd like to have at least close to 2 tablespoons of fat total for this dish. So some pancetta is lean, some of it has more fat. It all depends. So what we'll do is we'll make up the difference with some extra virgin olive oil, okay? That's the important part, is the fat. So I'm going to keep rendering this down until it's crispy and I get most of the fat out of it. Now when it comes to rendering out the fat in our pancetta or guanciale, All stoves are different, okay? So medium heat might be a bit higher on yours, especially if it's a gas stove. So we want to adjust the heat accordingly so we do not burn this beautiful pancetta. Okay, pancetta is crispy. It's rendered out most of its fat. Give you a close-up look here. Now I'm going to get this off the heat now, okay? And we're going to remove the pancetta only and leave the fat in the pan. So pancetta has been removed, leaving the fat in the pan. I'm going to tilt the pan and just have a look at how much fat I have here. I'm thinking about a tablespoon and a half here. I just want a touch more. I'm just going to add a little bit of olive oil here to make up the difference. Not too much, okay? There we go. So I got you want about close to 2 tablespoons total fat. If you have a little bit more, not a big deal. If you have less, you definitely want to make up the difference, okay? So we're just going to keep this off the heat for now and work on our pasta. Let's get our water up to a boil and cook our pasta to al dente. Okay, salted water is boiling. I have my 300 grams of pasta and tongs. The longer ones are definitely your friend in this situation, so we'll be using those. So let's get our pasta into the water. Do not add oil to your water, guys. That's not a good thing. So just get your pasta in the water like so, and just let it soften up. It'll drop in on its own. Don't rush it because you could break the pasta. We want to leave it in whole pieces. Pasta is in the water. We need to cook this al dente, so I always look on the back of the package that I'm using. Mine says 11 minutes for cooked pasta. I'm going to start checking it at around 8 minutes. And now once it's fully submerged, you can mix it around a little bit once it gets back up to a full boil, but you don't want to play with your pasta too much because it will break. All right, it's still very fragile at this point, and it can snap in half, and you'll have tiny pieces of pasta, which are terrible for this dish. Okay, my 8 minutes is up, and I'm going to try a piece of this pasta. You have to taste it and make sure that it is perfect. Al dente, you'll feel it's soft, but has a little bit of a snap in the middle, and that's where we are. Turn the heat off. Let's get back to our pan. This is where all the action is going to happen. Now I'm going to turn the heat back on here just to like a medium, just for a moment. And what I want to do is, guys, we want to grab a good portion of this pasta water, okay? Because we are going to need it. You know, maybe a cup and a half or so, okay? And what I want to do with this oil in the pan is I'm going to add 1/3 of a cup to the pan. Okay? Now you can drain your pasta and throw it in here immediately, but I like to take it from the pot and get it in here. Just let it drain just for a couple moments and just get it in here. Be careful not to break it up. So the pasta water is a starchy water. And it's also going to help create the sauce when we put our carbonara cream in there. So what I want to do is just toss this, or you can take a spatula, and you'll see this water will be absorb really fast because the pasta is still cooking, right? But we just want to get the pasta coated with the oil and let it soak up some of that water, okay? And we know we will need more water here, but now is where the magic happens. We're going to take this right off the heat. Keep your water handy. I'm not seeing much water in my pan here, so I'm going to add a little bit more, maybe a couple tablespoons. Let's get our carbonara cream in here. We have to work fast, okay? So let's get that in here. So the residual heat from the pan and the pasta and the hot water will make our sauce. So let's get this mixed in really fast here, because we don't want scrambled eggs. We want a carbonara cream. You can see the cream developing already in the bottom of this pan. Look at that. You can do this method if you want. sometimes that can be a disaster, but look at the nice cream we have here, guys. Look at that. Now, the more you stir this, the creamier it's going to get. If you find your pasta is getting tight and the sauce is getting kind of goopy, you want to add more pasta water. Simple as that, okay? We do not need any salt at this point. You can taste it later. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? I'm going to add some more pepper. Okay, let's do this over here so you can see what's going on. The heat is off, by the way, guys. So don't be afraid to stir this around, but just, you know, be gentle. Don't use your tongs. Use a spatula if you have one. Just keep doing this, and every time I do this, we make an emulsification here. The sauce gets thicker, creamier. That is amazing. I want to taste this now. Saltiness is on point. Now we can put some of the, just maybe half of the pancetta in. And the rest we'll use as a garnish, okay? All right. I love pepper, so I'm going to put a little bit more pepper. And this pasta does not have to be piping hot. You can serve it just lukewarm. So my favorite way of serving this, you can do it any way you like. I like to use chef's tweezers and a nice big wide ladle. I like to get some of my pasta. Just toss that in the sauce first. Get yourself a good portion. Get it in your ladle and swirl. Just swirl it around. Actually, you know, this amount here is good for 3 people, especially if you're gonna have like garlic bread or a salad with it. You'll get away with 3 people easily. That's a decent portion. If you want to grab some of the sauce here and just put it on top. Look at that. That's beautiful. And some of the crispy pancetta. Okay, divide it up between each dish that you make. And of course a good sprinkle of parm or pecorino. Pecorino is going to be saltier, of course, so keep that in mind. Here we have it. Okay. Nice, beautiful, authentic Roman pasta carbonara. Give this recipe a try, guys. It's more of a method, so right, if you don't get it right the first time, just keep trying and you will master it.